You've probably heard the advice before. Put yourself out there. Be more confident. Just talk to people. And maybe you've tried it. Showed up somewhere, forced a smile, made small talk that went nowhere, then went home feeling more alone than before you left. The problem isn't your personality. It's not that you're awkward or unlikable or missing some social gene everyone else was born with. The problem is that no one taught you how friendships actually form. They gave you motivation when what you needed was a system. Here's the truth most people never learn. Friends aren't found, they're built. And they're built through three specific systems that, once installed, make connection almost inevitable. Not guaranteed, nothing is. But inevitable in the way that planting seeds and watering them makes growth inevitable. You're not hoping anymore. You're engineering. This video gives you those three systems: context, consistency, and contribution. You'll also get exact scripts you can use even if you feel awkward, plus a simple 7-day plan to go from zero to your first real connections. By the end, you'll understand why your previous attempts didn't work and what to do differently starting this week. But first, the reframe that changes everything. The biggest mistake people make is trying to build friendships in places that reset them to stranger every time. Think about it. You go to a party, have a decent conversation with someone, maybe even exchange numbers. Then nothing. You're back to zero. You attend a networking event, meet 20 people, remember 3 names, follow up with none. Zero again. These environments create interaction without repetition, and repetition is the only thing that turns a stranger into a friend. Here's the rule that simplifies everything. Friendships are a byproduct of repeated small moments, not big hangouts. Not deep conversations on the first meeting, not instant chemistry, just showing up in the same place around the same people often enough that familiarity builds. That's it. The depth comes later. The showing up comes first. This is why college produced friendships so easily. Dorms, classes, dining halls, you couldn't avoid repeat contact if you tried. The system did the work for you. Adult life removes that system entirely, then blames you when friendships don't form. But you're not the problem. The architecture is. So let's rebuild it. System 1 is context. This is where friendships are born. A context is any environment where you see the same people repeatedly without having to manufacture it. The location does the heavy lifting. You just have to show up. Not all contexts are equal, though. Here's how to evaluate one. Ask yourself 4 questions. First, will I see the same people each time, or is it a rotating crowd? Second, does it happen weekly or at least regularly? Third, is there low friction to attend, meaning it fits your schedule and doesn't require massive effort? Fourth, is conversation built into the activity, or would talking feel forced? Score any potential context on these factors. If it hits at least 3 out of 4, it's worth trying. If it misses on repeat contact or same people, skip it. It won't generate friendships no matter how fun it feels in the moment. Here's a menu of contexts that actually work. Recurring classes, language, dance, martial arts, cooking, group fitness programs with a set cohort, not open gym where everyone's anonymous, volunteer shifts at the same organization on the same day, hobby clubs that meet weekly, co-working spaces where you become a regular, book clubs, running groups, creative workshops. The common thread? Repetition baked into the structure. You don't have to chase connection. The context creates collision. Here's what doesn't work. Random networking events where everyone's a stranger every time. Massive venues where you never see the same face twice. Online communities without real-time interaction. These feel social but produce nothing lasting because they violate the repeat contact rule. You walk away with business cards and Instagram follows, not friends. If you want friends, pick a context that does the hard part for you. Stop trying to manufacture repetition through willpower. Let the environment handle it. System 2 is consistency. This is how you stop being a stranger. Context gets you in the room with the same people. Consistency is what turns you from that person who showed up once into that person who's always here. And that transition matters more than anything you say. Research suggests friendships need somewhere between 6 and 12 small exposures before a real bond forms. Not 6 deep conversations, 6 moments of recognition. 6 times where someone sees your face and thinks, oh, I know them. Your only job in the early phase is to become predictably present. Here's the minimum viable consistency plan. Pick one context from the list. Commit to attending once a week for 6 weeks straight. Same day, same time if possible. Non-negotiable. Treat it like an appointment you can't cancel. Most people try context once or twice, don't feel instant connection, and quit. They never reach the threshold where familiarity kicks in. 6 weeks gets you past that threshold. But what do you actually do when you're there? If you're shy or socially anxious, the idea of just talking to people probably sounds unbearable. So don't. Use micro-connections instead. Tiny interactions that build recognition without requiring performance. Eye contact and a nod. Hey, good to see you again. One question about the shared activity. How long have you been doing this? That's it. You're not trying to be interesting. You're trying to be familiar. Familiar becomes safe. Safe becomes friend. System 3 is contribution. This is how you become valued. Context puts you in the room. Consistency makes you familiar. Contribution makes you wanted. It shifts your role from attendee to member, from someone who shows up to someone people are glad showed up. Contribution doesn't mean being the most helpful person in the room or taking on massive responsibilities. It means offering small value that makes the experience better for others. Here are 5 low-effort contributions that create disproportionate social returns. First, be the organizer light. After the class or meetup ends, casually say, "I'm grabbing coffee. Anyone want to join?" You're not hosting an event. You're just extending the moment. Second, help the new person. When someone's clearly attending for the first time, say, "First time here?" This part confused me too at first. You become their anchor, and people remember anchors. Third, bring a tiny resource. A playlist for the group chat, notes from last week, a link to something relevant. Small offering signal investment. Fourth, give specific compliments on effort. You're improving fast at the footwork lens. Differently than generic praise. It shows you're paying attention. Fifth, take a micro responsibility. Help with setup. Bring water bottles. Time the intervals. These roles make you structurally necessary, not just present. Here's the insight underneath all of this. People bond through shared reality plus usefulness, not through trying to impress them. Contribution creates both. You're part of the same experience, and you're making it slightly better. That combination is more powerful than any clever conversation. Now let's make this concrete with exact scripts. These are word-for-word phrases you can use even if your brain goes blank in social situations. When entering a context for the first time, "Hey, this is my first time here. Is there anything I should know?" Or, "How long have you been coming?" Simple, low pressure, opens dialogue without demanding it. On your second or third visit when you see a familiar face, "Good to see you again. How was your week?" Or reference, something from last time. "Did that thing you mentioned work out?" This signals memory, which signals care. When you're ready to bridge from group context to one-on-one, "I'm grabbing coffee after. Want to join?" Or, "Want to trade Instagram?" I'm trying to stay consistent with showing up here. The second one frames the follow as practical rather than emotionally loaded. For follow-up texts that don't feel desperate, "Nice meeting you today. Are you coming next week?" Or, "If you're going Thursday, I'll probably see you there." Low stakes, no pressure, just keeping the thread alive. If they don't respond, here's your script. "No worries, see you next time." Then you keep showing up. The friendship funnel doesn't depend on any single person saying yes. It depends on you staying in the system long enough for the right connections to form. Quick checkpoint. Ask yourself 3 questions right now. Do I have a context with repeat contact? Am I showing up weekly? Am I contributing in even a small way? If you're missing even one of these, that's exactly why it isn't working. The system has a gap. Fill the gap, and the results change. Here's your 7-day action plan. Day 1. Pick one context from the menu. Score it on the 4 factors. Make sure it's at least 3 out of 4. Day 2. Commit to 6 weeks of consistency. Put it on your calendar. Same day, same time. Day 3. Prepare 2 opening lines. Write them down. Say them out loud once so they don't feel foreign in your mouth. Day 4. Attend and make 1 micro connection. Eye contact, nod, 1 sentence to 1 person. That's a win. Day 5. Contribute once. Help someone, compliment effort, extend an invitation. Day 6. Make 1 low-pressure invite. Coffee after or see you next week. Day 7. Send 1 follow-up text. Keep it simple. If you run this system for 6 weeks, it's extremely rare to still be at 0. You might not have a best friend by week 6. That takes longer. But you'll have familiar faces, a couple of real conversations, maybe a standing coffee date. The foundation will exist. Everything else builds from there. Here's what most people get wrong. They think making friends requires transformation, becoming more charismatic, more outgoing, more interesting. It doesn't. It requires installation. Installing a context that generates repeat contact. Installing consistency that builds familiarity. Installing contribution that makes you valued. Once those systems are running, friendships become a side effect. You stop chasing connection and start creating the conditions where connection finds you. So tell me, which system are you missing? Is it context, consistency, or contribution? Drop it in the comments. I want to know which piece clicked and which one you're committing to this week. If this gave you a real plan instead of vague advice, subscribe. We break down the psychology behind everyday patterns in a way that actually makes sense. The next video shifts gears. It's the psychology of baby boomers, how their generation was shaped, why they think the way they do, and what it explains about the tension